In this week's lecture, we need to define what is a game. Okay, we're going to do that. First, let's talk about play. So what does it mean to play something? Basically, you can play with a toy. You can pretend play with a toy. You can play, or you can play a game, right? And there's all kinds of games. We have board games, we have pen and paper games, we have card games, we have games like sports games, and then of course we have electronic games, which we usually call video games, right? Or video games. So what is the difference between playing with a toy and playing a game? Well, there's two things that a game has that a toy does not. The first is a game has rules. Okay? Games have rules. So playing a pretend game with a toy, you have no rules. Okay, you can be putting your Legos together in just whatever way you want, and there are no rules. Now, if you're putting your Legos together in a specific way, maybe you can say that there are rules to how you're putting it together because you're trying to make a certain object. But a game, we're going to define a game as having rules. So we know that board games have rules. In fact, when you play a board game, the first thing you have to do is you have to read the rules. Video games are a little different. A lot of times the rules are just built into the game. Maybe there's a tutorial, maybe there's just the way that they tell you how to play. There might be a manual, but games have rules. The second thing that games have are win and loss conditions, which are goals. Okay, so a game has a goal. There is something that you need to do in the game in order to either win it or lose it. There is a goal. Usually we also call a win condition a victory condition, and the loss conditions, and we have loss conditions, right? So a game might also end without a victory or a loss, so in which case you have what's called a termination conditions. Okay? A victory condition means you win the game, and you can win the game in lots of different ways. You can win by being the first person to win a race, or you can win by being the first person to get to the end of the game. You can also win by not dying, right? You survive. Loss conditions are, well, you can lose because you die, or you can lose because somebody else won. And we're going to actually have a whole chapter where we talk about this, goals of games, and we will go very deeply into win conditions and loss conditions. Okay, video games are a little bit different, as I mentioned, than like board games. Many times the rules don't have to be written down. They can be built into the game literally. The game makes you follow the rules. It doesn't let you go through walls. It makes you go in certain directions. The big boss just shows up and you have to fight it or you die. You don't have to necessarily read the rules like you do for a board game. A lot of times board games might have what we call house rules, where the rules aren't written into the rule book for the game, but they've become rules that people generally follow. So actually in the game Monopoly, there are several house rules that are not in the instructions for the game, but people have adopted them. Like, for example, when you put money onto the free space, and then when someone lands on it, they actually get the money. That is not an actual rule in the game. That's a house rule that many people have adopted. So rules are created for a reason. The games, you always have to sit down and read the rules of a game before you play it, because if you don't, well, one, the rules make everybody agree to play it a certain way, and two, there has been a lot of research when they created the game into how it would make the game the best way possible, the most fun experience. And so the rules are there for a reason. Video games contain a lot of what we call artificial intelligence. Everything is programmed in. There's different types of games, and that's what we're going to spend the whole semester talking about. So at this point, go on to watch the other videos that I have, and then you have an assignment to write an essay, a one-page essay typed on your favorite game. And please tell me a little bit about the game and why it is your favorite game. For example, my very favorite game in the whole world is Myst, especially Real Myst on the iPad. It's an amazing game. And one of the best things about it is that it is a puzzle game, but when you first start playing, you don't even realize it's a puzzle game. So the first puzzle is figuring out that there are puzzles. And the graphics are beautiful. You're in this whole world. There's a whole story that goes along with it, but you know that you're not going to die or anything. You can just walk around this whole world and figure out the different puzzles, and things are all connected. So you might do something in one area and you have to listen and you'll hear something happen and you have to figure it all out. It's a fantastic game. The music is also really great, and it really puts you in the mood, and it changes with the different areas that you're in. So that's the kind of thing I want you to write in your essay. I want you to tell me a little bit about the game and why you like it, maybe the gameplay, the music, the characters. Go into some details. And then there's another question that I also want you to write about some of the videos that I also ask you to watch. So make sure you put that at the end of your essay. Also, please make sure you go on to the discussion board and introduce yourself. Okay, I would like to hear a little bit about everyone, so please do that as well. Okay, well, that's the first lecture down, the first week down, and hopefully this will be a great semester.